Hello, hello. Autumn here. I'm back. A lot of my friends are pregnant, which is rad. Congratulations to everybody. I think that this whole, having babies because you're in quarantine is going to be a continuing trend, which reminded me of a vlog that I wanted to do a while ago, and then I kind of forgot. And so I'm back at it now. And it's about having a positive pregnancy. Now, I only have one child and he is 5 months old, so it's not like I'm some guru. But I do have a couple things that really helped me, and a couple of them I didn't get good at until the end of my pregnancy, and I wish I had gotten better at them at the beginning of my pregnancy. So I thought I'd just drop some knowledge, and hopefully it could help you out. Here we go. I don't know if I had extra exposure to this because I'm a bartender and I had a home birth. And when people found out I was having a home birth that were sitting at the bar drinking, all of a sudden everyone had something to say about it, and it was never nice and it was never supportive. I mean, maybe 1% of the time, but overall it was a flood of negativity. There are a couple ways to be able to spot that the negative word vomit is about to happen. The easiest one is when people will actually say something like, "Well, I hate to tell you," or "I probably shouldn't tell you this." And in response to that, you can just go, "Then don't. I don't want to hear your fear-based story." Some of them will be a little more subtle. They won't say anything. They'll just make a face before they word vomit on you. So you got to look out for that one. But once they start, you can usually tell where it's going. And again, you can say, "Does this story have a good ending? Am I going to enjoy hearing this story? Is it going to make me feel good? Because otherwise I don't want to hear it." And that may seem aggressive, but I promise you it's not. Because you don't want to hear their story. And a lot of the times it's not even their story to tell. It's not them or their wife. It will be like my male lady's second cousin's brother's ex-wife had a blah, blah, blah. And you're like, la, 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 unwanted information. You can even follow up with, "Why don't you tell me a good story about a woman that had a beautiful pregnancy and an awesome labor experience?" Because there's a lot of those stories. Otherwise, mind your own fucking business. So that might seem like you're being a mega bitch, but you're not. Pregnancy intentionally prepares you for motherhood. Setting boundaries, saying no to things, all of that is essential and unavoidable. And I think I don't know being a mother in any other situation except for this pandemic, but for me, it's been really important to be able to set boundaries and stick to them. And when you become a mom, naturally you lose a lot of your friends anyways. It's not on purpose. It's not anyone's fault. It's just that all of a sudden your priorities completely change and things that used to matter don't matter anymore. So don't be afraid of hurting people's feelings for what's best for your family, because welcome to the rest of your life. Unfortunately, this fear-based culture doesn't stop at a bar. It will happen to you sometimes with random people at the grocery store. And sometimes even it will leak into the medical field. So the second thing on my list of having a positive pregnancy is before you step foot in a doctor's office, be it your primary caregiver, whether it's your OBGYN, midwife, whatever, have a plan of what you and your partner want from the get-go. Before you meet with the doctor at all, talk about what you two want and try to stick to that as much as you can. There's obviously going to be here and there things that may have to change a little, but for the most part, you need to know what you want. And think of going into a doctor's office like you're going in to interview them. This is your journey. You get to choose who you want to be part of that. And you want somebody that's fucking stoked and supports you and what you want. Okay, last piece of advice that has to do with fear-based culture. Read books, right? Yes. So almost every expecting mom ends up with 1 or 2 or 3 copies of What to Expect When You're Expecting. Like all these other moms give it to you, the doctor gives it to you, you feel like you have to read it. I did not dig it. I have it still in my house. I think it's a better resource to have than Google. Don't Google shit. whether you're pregnant or not. Usually the results are certain death. It's just too extreme. So I do think it's good as a reference guide, but in general, like to sit down and read it, it's heavy and it's negative and a lot of it's not going to apply to you. So I think that you should read books, but like find ones that you're going to like jive with and feel good with. And it's going to make you excited. Like they're educational and you're learning about your pregnancy journey and whatever, but like not fear-based ones. Okay, so I do have a couple books to recommend. They're both written by Ina May, who is like the mother of all midwives. But it's not that I am pushing home birth on you. These books are just filled with heartwarming, beautiful birth stories that make you excited. I mean, they talk about just what a psychedelic experience it is and orgasmic. You know, you can have a beautiful birth. So anyways, Spiritual Midwifery, Guide to Childbirth, just for really nice stories. Okay, next piece of advice. Join a mommy group. So unfortunately, we are in quarantine and that probably is gonna be a while. Especially if you're pregnant, you don't want to risk it or anything. But I am part of 2 mommy groups that have Zoom meetings once a week. And one of them actually has pregnant women on it. And I tell ya, you know, like when you start a job and you go through training and it's like, okay, you have to do it exactly like this. And then you start the job and you're like, okay, so we don't actually do it like that. We do it more like this, right? It's like the real life. That's what a mommy group is like. Like you can read the books and you can talk to your doctors and whatever, but then you like talk to moms and you're like, oh, this is valuable information. When I was pregnant, I was part of a breastfeeding group and that was awesome. But yeah, just any exposure to moms where you can be like, talk to them about even just the end of your pregnancy, the middle of your pregnancy, just like random things that, that you have questions about. I think that that's really valuable because then you can also kind of be like, I identify with Stephanie. Stephanie, how did you do this? And then you can be like, I do not identify at all with Diane. I'm definitely not going to do it like Diane. You know what I mean? So on that note, also another piece of advice, as a pregnant woman, always carry around a pen and paper because here's the deal. Pregnant brain is a real thing. So when you have questions, you want to write them down right away so you don't fucking forget that shit. And maybe a pen and paper isn't realistic. Maybe nowadays you want to just have like a reminders thing on your phone. So hey Siri, write this in my reminders. But just something so that you're like, when you do go to your doctor or whatever, you're like, oh, let me get my reminders out because I have all these questions that I had forgotten until right now. Okay, so my last piece of knowledge to share is to enjoy being pregnant. You may get wretchedly sick. You may swell up like a balloon, but enjoy your heightened senses. Get yourself a good essential oil or perfume that you enjoy. And when you're swollen, take a bubble bath and have your partner rub your feet and paint your toenails. Take a million pictures of every stage of your pregnancy, whether your husband takes them or your best friend, or you get out a selfie stick and make yourself a flower crown, do a belly cast, do all the cheesy pregnant things. We as mortals were given this magical power, and I don't know if you realize how divine the work you're doing is until you actually have your baby, and then you can't go back. And what you're doing is divine. So really try to enjoy it. Those are my words of wisdom.